Hello and welcome to another episode of Crypto Time. My name's James Coughlan and I'm joined today with my usual co-host, Antonio Shillingford. How are you, mate?
Doing perfectly fine. How about yourself?
Yeah, very good, very good. So again, today we're going to follow the same format that we did last week, which is going into BSV. They've got some real cool stuff that's happening around their project at this present stage. So we really just want to tuck into a little bit more information around it. So without further ado, we will kick off. But one thing I must say first is always do your own due diligence before getting involved in any investment. Right, you ready, sir?
Good to go.
Cool.
Good to go.
So today I think I'll throw the baton your way and you can kick us off, mate.
No problem. So mine's tucking straight into BSV itself because recently, before we talk about that, let's just go back to the basics and go back to the start, really and truly.
Sure.
Because, of course, initially Bitcoin, then we had the whole scaling debate breakout about how we should scale, whether it's on-chain or off-chain. Then we had the creation of BCH.
We did indeed.
Now, when we had the creation of BCH, yes, it had the core team that is currently working on BSV, being N-Chain, currently working on that particular project. But there were a few other key players that were also integrated with BCH that were doing nefarious things, and they just wanted chain splits because it financially benefited them, to be completely honest with you. In that scenario, predominantly talking about Bitmain.
I was wondering whether you were going to actually sort of like air the elephant in the room because, it's an interesting one around Bitcoin.
But of course, now we've had the situation where we have the creation of BSV. That's a huge positive because we have literally pushed out the majority of distortions that were in that particular chain. Now, the whole scaling debate, the way it started was quite simply, can we scale Bitcoin from 1 megabyte to 2 megabyte? The Blockstream development team, so the core development team that are being funded by Blockstream, their narrative was that it's unsafe to increase the block size. So they wanted to issue something like the Lightning Network, which was a third-party source, a third-party payment processor, which already completely defunks the whole reason why Bitcoin was created in the first place. So BSV have been completely proving them wrong time after time because this whole narrative of increasing the block size is unsafe has been completely blown out of the water, to the extent that I believe it was on the 30th, the 30th of March, they mined a 128 megabyte block. That is a huge increase from what was deemed to be unsafe. And it wasn't just one block that literally got spat out. There was a few, and they were further followed on the 31st. So the sizes went up to, again, 128 megabytes, and also 87 megabytes and 101 megabytes. Now, I done a webinar where I was detailing some of the things that could happen in 2019. One of them was talking very heavily on the halvening event that's going to happen. And that's just basically the miner incentive.
Yep. So
halvening from 12.5 Bitcoins to, of course, what the actual figure would be once the halvening event's over. Now, the way miners are incentivized is they get the block reward that, of course, is attached to each and every block, but they also get the transaction fees that us as users pay that goes directly to the miners. So they have two major incentives. Now, if you're diminishing the amount of data that you can fit into each and every single block, you're now instantly affecting those miners' pockets. Those miners are in the game for competition. They have created a company to compete against other companies to do one particular function, and that is mine and secure cryptocurrencies. So if you're taking one element away from them on which they can actually start to redeem funds back, then you're pretty much shooting their pocket and setting it alight. And that is very much the narrative of what the Bitcoin core development team was. And that was a narrative that we wanted to get completely away from. And again, the fact that BSV are doing the things that they are doing right now, it is completely destroying, quite frankly, all the bullshit that they were spitting out in 2016.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one, specifically around the block sizes. Now, it's not something that I agree with, but one of the kind of points that they throw out there in terms of reasons as to why this isn't a good thing by increasing the block size will be about running a full copy of the blockchain, right? So when doing that, as they increase the blockchain, some people's thought process is around the fact that we're not actually decentralizing, we're further centralizing by doing so. So as that block size actually increases, it will become less available and less easy, I suppose, for those individuals that actually want to run a full copy of the blockchain. But I think there's a lot of things that we can do to combat that and argue that. And I think one thing that is massive within this space is that we certainly don't want a whole bunch of different coins to kind of work out one utility or to do certain different things. We believe that BSV can do it under one hat. And specifically when you're talking about larger blocks, for me, that's not an issue. Take Moore's Law, for example, seeing, for example, computational power increase, memory sizes increase over periods of time. I don't think this is going to be an issue personally. What's your thoughts on that, though?
Yeah, I agree. And I won't go into too much detail on it because I don't want to run out of time, basically. Yeah. But tucking into the node thing, that every single person should be a node, and then that adds decentralization. Bullshit. Yep. Because the reason why is if everyone was running a Raspberry Pi, let's say, for example, you had a string of 5 supercomputers, and in the middle of that, you had two Raspberry Pis, instantly, those 2 Raspberry Pis are throttling all the rest of the actual processing power that the rest of these computers actually have. And especially because this is definitely deviating a little bit, but the way that Bitcoin is organized at the moment is pretty much a mesh network now. So that will mean that it is forced to go and pass through those Raspberry Pis. So instantly, you're throttling the whole network. How nodes need to be is data centers. Exactly how they pretty much are at the moment. If you was to, of course, talk to Google, if you was to talk to Amazon, if you was to talk to any of these major corporations, they're data centers. And that is exactly how the node narrative should go. And that's the direction that I believe it will go in.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a nice place to wrap up on that. My information today, I suppose, as it were, will be Zeux. Zeux is a really, really cool company that are out there at this moment in time. So just to kind of list off exactly what they're actually trying to achieve at the moment is they want to work on payments, they want to work on banking, and they want to have an investment into one app, right? So they want everything all in and encompassed under one hat. Now, Zeux have gone about this in a very, very clever way. The reason they've gone about this in a clever way is they've chosen to obviously accept BSV. Now, there's only one reason why they're doing it. And in my opinion, it's because of the fact that we have got proper scalability on it. Now, it just feeds on perfectly from obviously what you were saying earlier. The fact we've tested these larger blocks is proving time and time and time again that actually this is the right road to be pushing down. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. And they've probably looked into the space and looked at a few different cryptocurrencies out there and just realized that it didn't work on top of them. So the whole market is going to go through its discovery phase. So more and more companies will, of course, they're going to go through their testing periods. They're going to test out loads of different cryptocurrencies. But at the end of the day, we know because we've looked at loads of them that there's very few that actually work.
As we spoke about the White Company before, Zeux are looking to do similar things around the space. They advocate the same reasons, as I said, the fact that obviously they are working with the most scalable blockchain is why. But Zeux aren't just doing that. They're obviously doing a whole host of different services. The one that I find really cool that they're offering at this moment in time is they're allowing you actually to spend anywhere that a terminal accepts Apple Pay and also Samsung Pay. Now, these are two huge utilities that are being used on a daily basis by many, many people. Now, one thing that I think we can take from this is the way that I see the crypto world going forward, right? The way that I want to see it work is that people use cryptocurrencies without even almost knowing that they're using them. In essence, just doing the same things that they do on a day-to-day basis, but just receiving a better service for doing it. And we can certainly see that with cryptos. We can just speed up the pace, make things more seamless, and work across the board in a much better way. So I think that really is what Zeux are bringing to the space. And to be honest with you, I think it's exciting. They're not the only company that are doing that. For example, us at Bitstocks are looking into similar services, and we will be rolling those out. We've got, for example, the White Company, as we mentioned, are rolling out similar services. So we're now starting to see that bridge and that connection come to this space between the merchant providers and actually the coins themselves, and actually being used in real world cases. Because at the end of the day, it's all very well looking at cryptocurrencies and saying to them, there's a future great idea in there that could be worth something down the road. But what we all know and what we advocate here at Bitstocks is we need people spending these coins. Yeah? We need people actually using the network and actually running through what they should be running through. And this certainly supports it, along with the White Company, along with the work that we're doing at Bitstocks. And it's, for me, it's just the right steps to be taking. And to hear that they're doing it along the lines of BSV as well, using their coin off the back of the fact that they know it's cheap, it's fast, and its usability is great, just fits in perfectly. So for me, I'm really happy along those lines.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's very important within this space to have developers that have direction. And it's interesting to see that now we're getting a lot of designers come into the space, and designers are the thing that were missing in 2016, 2017. Now they are starting to attack this space. So exactly what you were saying, making it completely usable and making it a seamless experience.
Yeah.
And that's how you get mainstream.
And I think it's funny, obviously, me and you have the privilege of working, obviously, with developers, with the designers here at Bitstocks. And it's really interesting to see how much work, for example, has to go behind something which is seamless. So it's the easier it appears on the front page, the harder it's been to work out on the back page. And that's why it's really interesting to see how they've been moving forward on a day-to-day basis with this kind of development.
Yeah, this is one thing that I definitely appreciate. Simplicity could mean that everything behind the scenes is extremely complicated.
Exactly that. And I think that's a perfect place to obviously wrap up this session. Again, been two really great subjects. I know it's around BSV specifically because we're seeing so much good stuff come from them at the moment. So again, guys, if you like what you see, please hit that notification button so you know what's coming from Bitstocks in the future. Also, if you get an opportunity, you can watch us through YouTube, you can listen through Spotify, iTunes, and many different services. Also check out our website because we've got some really cool blogs going on as well.
Peace and love.